When people hear Seychelles, they imagine perfection. Turquoise water so clear it feels like looking through glass. White sand so fine it whispers underfoot. Total escape, sold as a seamless fantasy. But that curated image leaves out the most interesting part. Because Seychelles isn't just beautiful. It's fragile, complicated, and full of contradictions. It's a living space, not just a backdrop. What shocked us wasn't how untouched it looks, but how much has already been lost, restored, or reinvented beneath the surface. 1. And islands with no original people. Here's something most people don't know. The Seychelles had no native human population, no footprints on its sands before the 18th century, no ancient tribes to pass down myths of its formation, no original civilization to leave ruins or relics. Every human story here started recently. The islands waited in geological time, inhabited only by endemic species, until ships finally appeared. That means this country didn't evolve slowly over thousands of years. It was shaped quickly, decisively by outsiders. A blank slate forcibly written upon. And that changed everything, from the soil to the society. 2. Paradise that arrived through empires. Seychelles wasn't discovered. It wasn't found by wandering explorers in search of wonder. It was claimed. A strategic dot on a colonial map. Empires arrived, French, then British. Flags changed. Possession was a transaction. Trade routes decided its fate. It became a hub, a plantation, a prison island. Slavery existed here. People were brought against their will, their labor forging the very infrastructure that later welcomed tourists. Here's the uncomfortable contrast. What's marketed today as untouched paradise was built through exploitation. The foundations of tranquility were laid in unrest. The sand didn't change. It remained the same powder-soft coral. The story did. And whose story gets told is the real narrative. And that's where things get more surprising, because what happened next defies the usual script. 3. How Seychelles became something rare. After colonization, something unusual happened. Instead of fracture, there was fusion. Different cultures didn't just replace one another, they blended, out of necessity and proximity. African, European, and Asian influences merged, simmered, and solidified into a distinct Creole identity. Languages mixed, French bass, African rhythm, English and Bantu words woven in. Food evolved, coconut milk, chili, breadfruit, and grilled fish becoming a national cuisine. Traditions adapted. Moutya dance born from enslaved Africans, now a UNESCO-recognized heritage. Today, Seychelles is one of the most culturally cohesive small nations in the world. Strangers became neighbors, then family. That's not common. In many places, colonial borders bred conflict. And it wasn't guaranteed. This harmony was a conscious, hard-won creation. 4. A quiet country that works. Seychelles doesn't dominate global news. You won't see its politics trending, and that might be its strength. While the world looked away, it focused. It focused on stability, avoiding the coups or crises that plagued other post-colonial states. Education, achieving near universal literacy. Environmental protection, dedicating over half its territory to conservation. While many island nations struggled with dependence, Seychelles quietly built a functioning, high-income society. No spectacle, no noise, no desperate headlines, just balance, a deliberate, sustained equilibrium. Quick pause. If you're drawn to places that look simple, postcard perfect at a glance, but reveal complexity, resilience, and hidden layers the longer you stay, subscribe. This channel explores destinations beyond the postcard. We dig into the soil, not just the sand. 5. Nature this fragile shouldn't exist. Seychelles looks permanent. Granite mountains seem ancient, unyielding. But it isn't. These islands are exposed specks in a vast ocean. Small, vulnerable, dependent on delicate, interlinked ecosystems. Coral reefs protect the shores, living breakwaters. When they weaken, bleached by warming seas, everything changes. Erosion increases, fisheries collapse, the very coastline retreats. Here's the shock. Paradise here survives on constant protection, not luck. It's a daily, active defense. Reef monitoring, invasive species removal, strict sustainable quotas. Beauty here is not a given, it's a project. And then there's what Seychelles almost lost forever, creatures that never existed anywhere else. 6. The species that only exist here. Seychelles is home to species found nowhere else on Earth, living relics of a time when these islands were alone. Plants like the famed coco de mer growing obscenely slowly. Birds like the Seychelles black parrot, echoing in canopy valleys. Animals that evolved in isolation. Giant tortoises, unique frogs, prehistoric-looking insects. Many came dangerously close to extinction. Hunted, outcompeted, displaced by rats and development. Some survived only because people intervened. Radical acts, eradicating invasive species from entire islands, captive breeding, rewilding. That makes Seychelles different. It's one of the few places where conservation isn't optional, a nice-to-have for NGOs. It's survival. The nation's identity and economy literally depend on it. 7. Why Seychelles feels so unreal. Most visitors stay near resorts. In curated coves, served luxury. They see beauty pristine, manicured, seamless. But not life. Away from the hotel gates, daily routines feel remarkably ordinary. Kids in crisp uniforms go to school. Fishermen mend nets and argue over football. Families gather for Sunday lunch, music drifting from open windows. The shock isn't how exotic it feels. It's how normal it is. The profound, beautiful normalcy of a community living in an extraordinary place. 8. Why most people never see this side. Seychelles sells escape. It sells a pristine, frictionless void, a place where your only responsibility is to relax. The entire industry is built on the promise of disconnection, from work, from worry, from the complexities of the world. Not understanding, not context. The brochure doesn't mention the intricate water management system that makes your infinity pool possible, or the waste processing challenges on a remote archipelago. And that creates a gap, a chasm between the marketed fantasy and the living, breathing reality. You're shown untouched nature, but not the conservation officers who patrol it. You're served gourmet Creole fusion, but not introduced to the grandmother in a local lacquez house, who pounds ginger and lemongrass for the family pot. This gap is maintained by design. Resorts are often self-contained ecosystems, miniature sovereign states of luxury. Excursions are curated to showcase beauty, not complexity. You'll be taken to see the iconic Aldebert tortoises, but the guide might not detail how they were rescued from the brink or how their survival now funds community programs. The history of the plantation land your resort sits on remains unspoken. You can visit this place, sleep in its villas, swim in its waters, snap a sunset that looks exactly like the promo, and never know it. Never know the debates about sustainable fishing quotas dividing the local council. Never feel the quiet pride in the Creole language, once suppressed, now flourishing in poetry and song. Never understand the delicate balance of an economy where a hotel maid and a billionaire tourist share the same bus, the same beach, but vastly different worlds. Seeing Seychelles fully requires curiosity, a deliberate choice to look left when the path goes right. It means choosing the local bus over the private transfer, the market stall over the hotel buffet, the conversation with the boat captain about coral health over the standard reef tour. It requires not comfort. Seychelles isn't just paradise. That word is too lazy, too flat. It's a lesson in human adaptation, in ecological precariousness, in cultural synthesis. That beauty can be fragile, a performance requiring constant upkeep. That history leaves marks, even on the most idyllic shores. And that survival requires intention, daily collective choice. If this video made you pause or rethink a place you thought you understood, subscribe, because the most interesting destinations are always more complex, more contradictory, and more human than they appear.